cultural center in Hartford. This is a beautiful building. I'm just going to do a little intro out here, and then we're going to walk into the Fiber Arts, the Romance of Fiber Arts exhibit that opened up on Sunday, and we are going to look at the entire piece, the entire show together. So I'm out here. They've got beautiful pews out here because upstairs is like a worship space, but they're using it mostly now for music and things. It's just a beautiful big building with lots of places to be. When you enter, you come up through this hall here for the show. And by the way, Jay is helping me with filming today. Thank you, Jay. And I don't know if we're able to see comments, are we?
We are. Mom's here, Linda B is here, G and B, a few
Hello,
other people.
everybody. I've got on the same shirt that I wore the other day, just to keep it, consistent.
Kirsten's here,
Okay,
Joy.
good. Happy belated birthday to Kirsten. Happy birthday to Jane. A lot of birthdays in the last 48 hours. So when you come through the door, this is what it was like. And of course, I put on this piece of this show with Pierre Sylvain. So his absolutely gone viral, Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream. This is Needle Felted is here. This is Amy Bossier. She's a friend of Pierre. This is her. Oh, let me put my thing on because we have all the names. The Rockabye Bear Chair, right? So this is like an installation piece. And this is one of my favorite rugs of Pierre's. This is called Soulmate, right? And if you can see, I'm going to move this because I'm naughty. If you can see, this is like that nice chenille yarn. Can you see that close up? Right, this is that really fat chenille yarn because they've got that at a lot of craft stores. Look at how nice and lush it looks. It's the red border too, but this is him and his wife here in sort of the Garden of Eden. It's a beautiful piece, isn't it? This piece is called Soulmate. And can you tell that these are two hands here, right? I love the color of blue that he's used in here too. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Really pretty. And you see the two colors of leaves and the three colors of rose. So in this case, we have a beautiful graphic rose, and it doesn't have 500 colors. This is exactly the kind of hooking that I love. I love this kind of hooking. What a beautiful piece. My favorite piece of Pierre's is around the corner. So when you entered the show, Pierre set all this nice stuff up. This is the sheet that I'm holding. This is a two-sided sheet here for the Romance of Fiber Art, and there are 71 pieces in the show. And then Pierre printed, and Pierre, if you're on, thank you so much. I didn't even notice that night. It was so crazy that you printed the antique hook rug, because I did 3 bits of text for this show. The antique hook rug, which is in the back room, the story rugs, and the Van Gogh rugs, so that people coming to us for the first time, thinking this was raw cooking, I'm stopping with that joke, had no idea what they were looking at. For those people, I wanted to kind of set up some context and give them a starting point. So there's a little bit of text sitting around. As soon as you walk in, here she is, Guarding Marina by Michelle Miccarelli, right? One of the great rug hooking pieces of all time. Take a good look at that. All these nice colors in here. I mean, nice. She's such a master. Look at the stone she's got in the eye. And I believe that the serpent is supposed to be Anthony, her husband of many years, right? Right, they are like such a tight couple. And if you can scroll up there, you can see there's some 3-dimensional bling on her neck and on her head. So beautiful. The feedback on that night was that a lot of people didn't know what this was at all, right? And they were coming for the music upstairs that followed. So many people just were completely blown away. And as I said on the show on Monday, a lot of people said, like, how big is your loom, right? So it was a great talking opportunity to say, well, you don't need all that crap, right? I mean, you don't need all this large, expensive stuff around. You just can do this on your lap or on the table or whatever. So it was a great opportunity to talk to a lot of people about what this craft is. I almost forget. How could I almost forget? Number 4 over here, Carol, I am willing. So Pierre and I thought this was such a great message to start out with. Beautiful piece. This looks like velvet. Carol, I think you hooked with velvet here, did you? And the kind of sort of honeycomb motif you've got going, the bees. Really beautiful. What a positive message to start out with when you first walk in. I have got to have this iced coffee from Sonic. I waited 20 minutes for it. Sorry, I gotta do some sip-ins. Welcome back to winter, by the way. Are you having it too? I needed my winter coat today. I'm just absolutely, it's incredible.
Carol said the letters are velvet.
The letters are velvet. They are so pretty, Carol. What a great message to walk into when you enter this show. So, Jay, do you want to pan and just show part, right? And then we'll come and start looking individually. That back alcove is where the antique rugs are. There's a side alcove too that we'll see in a minute. So on this first wall here, we were looking at the Van Gogh rugs. So let me read you the text first. And if you came into the show and you had a phone and were fancy, you could scan this. This is the Van Gogh's chair, right, on this wall. So you could scan this and it brought you to Ribbon Candy Hooking, where it was, there were links to pop open, and a huge thank you to Arian for getting all of that stuff down, because this is beyond my comprehension. You would be able to scan, go into the site. Pierre's website popped up. You were already on my site, but my YouTube channel popped up too, so you could get more information, start learning right there. And the entire list is on that site as well. So Van Gogh rug pulled up, Van Gogh's chair, and this is what I wrote for people who are just coming to us that don't know about rug hooking or this project. In the wake of the immersive Van Gogh exhibit that swept through the country, including Hartford, on a swirl of star-colored magic. How corny am I? Our Facebook group, Rug Hooking Punch Needle Club, decided to have a Van Gogh chair challenge. The famous yellow chair pops up a lot in Van Gogh's interiors and is recognizable enough to be the perfect subject for a personalized composition. Ruggers who participated in the challenge had carte blanche regarding size, materials, and even subject. Everyone used a representation of a chair, some very literal and some very far out, and personalized it to tell a story about their life, their home, their dreams. When you look at the Van Gogh chair, imagine what you would put on it. Where is the chair? What room is it in? What season? Is it indoors or outside under a starry night? There are many possibilities as there are artists out there. And we even had, because I never finished my Van Gogh piece, which is this one, right? That's as far as I got. That's probably as far as I will ever get with that. If anybody wants to finish it, it's all yours. And we painted, didn't we, Jay, this yellow chair, right, out on the balcony of the studio, just to give everybody a bit of like an installation feel, right? It's artsy-fartsy's in here. So then we come back to the beginning here, and I'm going to consult the sheet so I don't make any mistakes. Linda Schultes Hoffman, the first one here. So this is a nice large one, really beautiful. This one is called Sitting on the Top of the World, right? How beautiful is that? You see that little bit of bling there? There's all kinds of blingy stuff happening. You see all different materials in, ooh, what's that? Ooh, sorry, I shouldn't be touching, but that is something very tactile. All bits and pieces in here, lots of different materials. Really, really lovely. And right underneath is Dave's chair. Is Dave on?
I don't know if Dave's on. We got 28 people watching now.
Excellent. So this is Dave's chair, and this is called If You Really Knew Me, What Would You Say? And remember, we saw this on Coffee Time, the question mark, right? What another beautiful chair. Look at this great border he's on there. All the colors in it, the seat, you get a good close up there. I love, he kept the tiled floor, right? That is so super Van Gogh. Hey, Heather. I know, the chairs are just crazy, aren't they? And then this one over here is Berta Smith, and this one is called New England Warmth. And she's also a knitter, so she added this beautiful knitted piece, swirl like it. She's working on it, she just left it over the edge of the chair. And you can see with this piece that the bottom of it is hooked and the top of it is punched. And this is traditionally the back of the punching, that's the front, right? So it was kind of reversed that way. So with this, she was able to punch the back and hook it, keeping it all facing her, right? Because the rest of it's hooked. And then she like appliqued or applied this little piece here. Got a little piece of fluff on him. This pretty scarf here, right over the edge. Isn't that gorgeous? This pretty piece down here, Shannon, this is you. This is such a cheerful, springy one. This reminds me of the cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C., the Van Gogh chair. And you can see it set outside. Look at this beautiful woolly seat done in yarn, right, against all of these wide strips of wild colors. This is yarn too, this dark turquoise. I love this purple line coming through here, right? And look at all the clusters of flowers on the ground, the clusters of flowers in the tree. How absolutely lovely, atmospheric. I just love that piece. Shannon, I just love this piece. I love the vertical pull of the grass too. And isn't it great, this orange works so well against both the greens and the blues. And it's like the darker blues are up higher, right? And there's a strip of light underneath. Really, really good. That purple really pops it too. That's really smart. Candace, your piece here, Van Gogh, wait a minute. Van Gogh meets Warhol, right? Candace, I love this piece. This is an all yarn piece. I think you hooked this. Yeah, it looks like you might have hooked. It looks like you definitely hooked it. I love this piece. What a great example of pop art. This was a super popular one. A lot of people really drawn to it because of the great colors. Each of the four sort of vignettes is a different color palette. And yeah, you just get people looking at it and that multiples mind, right? A lot of people have that multiples mind going, oh, which one do I like the best? And look at that color against that color. And I just love it. I love these two. Did you see how this material is like a mix? It's like grape, but there's also navies in it and red wine colors in it with the kind of chartreuse seat. And then the turquoise with the red and the coral and the cobalt, really, really smart. The outlining is really helping this piece because it's a busy piece. I love the outlining and I love the absence of outlining on the axis grid, right? Because to me that would be like, we got it. It's 4 different pictures, right? We got it. It goes without being said. It's absolutely perfect the way that it is. Great job. Coming to number 10, this is Ruth Decker, the Van Gogh, and this is obviously Pandemic, a 2021 piece with a tiny little mask sitting on the seat, and that really says it all, doesn't it? We all remember, and are still in it, of course, we're still in it, but my word, that was, those first days were just absolutely shocking. What a beautiful piece, a kind of log cabin feel, like a bit of an old-fashioned floor here, and another example of some great vertical sort of appeal, right? I love how it's darker on this side, on this wall, and on this wall, lighter, right? Just good sense of light, picturing the light coming through on this window and hitting this wall, this one a little more in the dark, really anchoring the L shape in the background. And beautiful coral colored chair, really bright, good contrast with the green seat and this little mask, too cute. Look at the beautiful wide border on it too, right? That's like a nice mixed tweed and like the tweedy charcoal purple, raspberry oranges, really, really lovely. Let's come on top to Carol's piece. Carol's, yours is called Kitchen Love. Now, I don't have all of the notes that you all gave me. They are on the website. So I hope that after this live show, you will go to the website and check them all out because there are stories. Because Carol, I remember you saying this fused some of your loves, right? Because food and kitchen is one of your loves and kitchens are your favorite room in every house. So I remember that there are stories and the stories are posted on the website. So make sure that you go back and look at these in more detail, everybody's work, and check out all the stories that people submitted so that you get the full experience of enjoying the piece. People were standing here at the exhibit for so long looking at these pieces, looking at their phones, reading, right? Some people stayed 2+ hours and really made a meal of it, pun intended. So this is a great piece, Carol, really. And I love the little piece of wood for the cork on the wine bottle. I love this. It feels like, I forget what material it is. It almost reminds me of like bamboo, but it's still a textile. It's really beautiful. And this little nest of noodles in the middle here, the fork that's wired. And this looks like cotton or sari ribbon. It's so soft and pretty. Such a beautiful piece. And I love the colors in this piece, this very mellow straw yellow against this like soft grape color. Isn't that a match made in heaven? With the turquoise behind, but then the more aqua turquoise, more of a teal turquoise in the seat and more of a mohair feel to it too. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely love the piece. Anne Palizzo, Van Gogh, Under the Sea. My buddy Anne, look at this piece, right? Look at this great piece. Lots going on here too. Anne is like such a good, what do I want to say? Not like rules hooker, so good at technical stuff, right? You are so good at directional hooking and that kind of thing, and that really comes out in this piece with the directional background. See the sort of mix of colors here, and then the diagonal directional of the tile, right? That creates so much interest. This breaking the border is very, very helpful. The head breaking the border a little bit with this looks like sari ribbon for sure. If you can get a close-up, you can see some are little stripies. Really beautiful. And antique black in the border, right? That is not a solid black. That is truly antique black with some over-dyed patterned wools. And then breaking the border here at the tail again, and really popping it with the height of these loops that look like almost like mohair or roving that go very, very well. You see how she really took the time to stripe out the mermaid's tail? Really beautiful. And the chair as well. Look at the amount of color that is in the chair. And the seat is a little bit softer too for mermaid's butt. Real soft. Right, very tactile piece, beautiful piece. Robin, this is your piece. Jax is Starry Night. Jax is your husky, right? What a cutie. And oh my gosh, this is another piece with so many different textures. Robin, remind me, this is like that. What is the word for this, Jay? This material. Why is my brain not? It's like wickery, raffia, absolutely. So smart. And this too has a raffia quality, but I think this is raw silk. This is so pretty, all these earthy shades, a little bit of the hairy fraying coming off of it, giving such a tactile, just want to touch everything. A lot of people were saying, God, I want to touch everything. And I said, it's better if you don't. It's better. But there's something so sculptured about this material at the top that as soon as you hit the soft, this looks like a number 5 cut. As soon as you hit like the narrower cut of the soft wool, there's a real contrast between all of the different parts of this piece and creating so much interest. The beautiful, warm, soft, lightly spun yarn, right, that you're using to outline, not quite roving, it's spun a little bit tighter than that, but it does have a very soft quality to it to outline, really smart. I love the softness of the shapes. And then Jack's up on the chair. Look at the chair, the way it's hooked with this super thick fiber. I mean, how amazing is that? Isn't that yummy? All of the blues from the Starry Night in the background, all of the different cuts. Can you tell it's sparkling?
Yeah.
Remember the story about Van Gogh? How he painted his Starry Nights because he was sitting on the banks of various rivers, depending on where he was, with his famous straw hat on, right, like kind of like a little boating hat, but with a big wide brim, and all these candles stuck through the hat. How crazy is that? Fire hazard, just to give himself some light, and painting the sky at night. Right, and then him creating all these swirls that we associate with Van Gogh and Starry Night, and certainly his most signature work. And then decades later, astronauts going up to outer space and saying, you know what it really looks like up there? It looks just like Van Gogh's Starry Night. How did he know? I mean, it's true. That's absolutely true. I just love seeing the Starry Night interpreted in different ways. And in this case, I love seeing it in the sky and then coming right behind Jax, right into the room. And you see that there's a repeat of the motif of Starry Night in the wall on the interior. And look at Jax's body, right, with all this fluff, all these fluffy fibers, beautiful diagonal chair again, and woven seat here. Really smart, beautiful. Jane, here is your piece, Grandchildren Come to Play. And here is your trapunto Van Gogh seat and all the size, right? The sports team right here. It's Jane's birthday, so I don't think she's live. She's going to be so upset with me. I don't remember what the sports team was in Wales. She's going to be shouting at the screen when she sees it. But she's got this hooked in yarn, and she's got like an irregular border. And then she's got all the little trappings of the little ones that she has around so often, the little boots, different ages, right? Little hat, little mittens, such a beautiful piece. Chenille over here, right? Hooked chenille. And then all these different yarn fibers coming in here. So isn't it sweet to think about Van Gogh's chair being used in a contemporary setting, like with your family visiting? I mean, it really is so sweet, isn't it? It's a completely different interpretation, taking it away from that high art and bringing it like actually into your house and introducing the chair to things that you do and things that your family does. Really smart interpretation. I love that piece. Happy birthday. And number 15, this is Joy. Joy, this is your piece, and this is called Starry Nights and Sunny Days. Joy, that is just like you. There's a little fluff right there. Let me get the fluff. I was so crazy going through right before the show I was like pulling off little bits and pieces. I just, ADHD, I guess, or OCD or whatever it is. But beautiful, beautiful multi-fiber piece, right? Here's the chair right here. And it is, as you pan away, this one I think is better when it's a little bit distant because you can get a feel, right? For the Starry Night swirl, you can get a feel for the sort of tropical leaves over in this area. This piece with this border really kills me. If you can come in close and get the textures, Joy's like worked in some really beautiful, thick, roving-like yarns, right? With the little strips, that looks like number 5 or 6. Really pretty, bunch of different textures of yarn, right? And inside of the frame itself, there is a mix of the roving material. So lush and soft and yummy, right? Look at the use in moving from the blues to the purples, yellows to blues to purples, and with this soft clay color here, really amazing. I love the tropical oranges. I love the electric sea blues. Look at this. This looks like ribbon, sorry ribbon in here again. All the different citrus colors, right? Such a great fusion palette here. Down here, a little mixture of the purples with the corals, really beautiful. Really extraordinary. Beautiful piece, Joy. Absolutely love. I love all of these. Here comes Kaz up here, a spindle on the Van Gogh chair. So she has got her spindle. I'm trying to read the spindle because remember I struggle with spindles. It is a spindle. It is a spindle. Remember we had this long conversation, one of our antique episodes, and I was going, what is that? And you were all going, a spindle. And I was going, what's a spindle? It's still happening. Well, this is a beautiful piece that Kaz did, and you can see there's some yarn, working on yarn. There's like a little wash tub here, and she's got her line up, and then she appliqued. Do you see these tiny clothespins? Oh my gosh, they're so little. And all of this yarn, like little skeins of yarn and hanks of yarn hanging from them. Beautiful starry sweep to this piece. There's a lot of great things happening here. Lots of wool strips, lots of velvet, right? Lots of velvet, lots of soft spuns, lots of different yarns, different colors. Everybody went, as you should, wild with the Van Gogh palette. And I just love it because it all pops so much. The blues, the oranges, the coppers, the browns. This is a tweedy material she's got in here. Really smart. Really, really smart. Look at the movement on this ground. And then look at this beautiful wide velvet border. Isn't that gorgeous? Let's just look at this back of that. Oh, she's got it all hemmed up beautifully. Look at how beautiful that looks. All of the colors on this border. And do you notice how on the top of the border, she's got so much of the darker blue, and then at the bottom, she's introducing some color changing velvet. This is probably from Diane Collins at the Velvet Hook. Absolutely beautiful. I love hooking with velvet. Doesn't that make a lovely, ruffly kind of a frame? Just absolutely love that piece. Great job, Kaz. And this is Kirsten's piece here. This piece is called Van Gogh with Two Cats. So we've got the Van Gogh chair here. We have one little cat here. Can you see that? You see the little blue whiskers? Mm-hmm. And another buddy on the seat. Oh, Kirsten, you've got lots of nice materials in here too. I like the way you popped the outline with this. Again, I'm struggling with what the material is, and that's a good thing because it's a mystery. I love the signature blue whiskers on both. That's really smart. Great vertical pull here. Works great with the diagonal floor. I mean, obviously Van Gogh thought of this, and that's why he had these kinds of textures in place, right? But as hookers, many of you are dropping a vertical sort of thrust into the background, which works well fighting with the horizontal of the chair, isn't it? Whether you realize you did it or not, that's probably why you did it, because it creates drama. So much of it going horizontal, so much of it coming down. This is beautifully broken up. I love all the soft materials in the chair here. Again, so many of you, without even realizing that you were using a lot of similar techniques, are mixing the sort of roving materials with very sculptured kinds of loops, right? Much more integrity. And then other soft materials like mohair, right? And fancy fibers, novelty materials. It really is a whopping piece. And then of course, lots of different textures and gauges of yarn. If you sweep up here, you get a really good cross section for what's happening. I love the simple border on this too. It's like a sort of a small plaid or herringbone, dark, dark, dark. But it really holds the piece because the piece has a lot of action in it, a lot of color change. Kirsten, this is my favorite piece of yours so far. This is just Absolutely fantastic. And in a very impressionist style, right, you have popped in colors in odd places, not consistently, right? It's not meant to be consistent, because if you do something like right across the board, then it becomes part of the technique. It's much more impressionist style to throw in like little moments, right, small moments, and to not feel that you have to balance them out in the composition, because then you get too matchy-matchy, you get away from the style of art. I also love over here how you've got some color changing yarns, right, mixed in with what is a very busy background, but you can read it close up and you can read it far apart away as that diagonal tiled floor. Really well done. Let's just skip over mine because I know this show is going to go a long time. I started it. I didn't finish it. I don't want to finish it. Honestly, if you would like to finish it and keep it, let me know and get in touch on ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. I got enough problems right now, I'll tell you, about that thing. No, this is Susan Barnard's piece, another beautiful piece, Why Van Gogh Hated Cats. That is so funny. Well, this one has his pipe, right, which traditionally in the painting is on Van Gogh's chair. And this is the original painting here that we see. That's actually his pipe. So Susan's really playing with the cats because the cat's got his pipe and they're probably scratching the hell out of the seat and playing with the yarn. Remember that Van Gogh used, to create his color palettes, remember that he used bits of yarn and felt, but he used fiber, right? His way of color planning was he collected little bits of fiber. This came out in our Designing Like Van Gogh class. He collected bits of fiber, right? So just like us, bits of sweater and little bits of yarn, and he held on to them. And when it came time to color plan, instead of looking at a color wheel or looking at his palette, he looked at fiber because he felt that fiber held the sort of soul of the pigment better than just looking at your paint. So he always did look at textile to give himself a sort of a gauge to where he was going color-wise with his pieces. So it's nice to see the yarn in here because that's very authentic. And cats all over the place, right? I think there's 4 cats in here. Some clothing hanging up as it would on hooks, his sun hat, the back of another cat here. Beautiful view out of the French countryside, out the window. This looks like a mirror and a beautiful picture on the wall. Another gorgeous piece. Keeping, so many of you kept the diagonal, which is really, really smart, did a blue wall, really, really smart, and did the chair very multicolored. Isn't it interesting to think about what things are the same and what things are different? I love the way that Susan has outlined too. It really pops what's going on here because it's a busy composition. Susan is a master at working animals into her compositions and having busy compositions and making it work. So lots happening here, but the outline of this cat, the outline of this cat, and you see that this cat is outlined with a color changing wool. Very thin cut, probably a 4. And although it changes color, you absolutely understand it and read it. There is a great relationship, if you are trying to hook in the Impressionist style, there is a great relationship between color changing wool and yarn and the Impressionist look. Because when you're using variegated textile, whether it's yarn or wool, as you go and as it changes color without you planning it, that is the very nature of Impressionism, isn't it? That things come and go, like little strokes, little specks of light and bright. And when you don't control it and micromanage it, it comes out as an impression. And it works really well in this style. That's just what's going on here with the outline. Coming over to number 19, Jean, this is yours, Van Gogh chair at Mission. So you see this beautiful sort of Mission style architecture here, and here's our Van Gogh chair. Very soft and subtle cross right here. Absolutely beautiful bike parked, right? This reminds me of California, maybe this is California. Jean's in Colorado, so I'm not sure, but you do see this beautiful Mission architecture and the beautiful starry sky up above the wall. Looking at all of these subtle colors, this is a great example of dark light, dull bright. We've got some really bright colors, certainly the chair, the handlebars, some of the greens in the grass, the blue sky, right? We've got a little of the red poison. There's a lot of neutral colors here, and there's a lot of dulls. And you see how the dulls really help work to pop the brighter colors. I mean, really, that is something, isn't it? That is a really beautiful piece. I'm getting the worst stomachache right now. I'm gonna put down this giant, gross, sweet iced coffee, and I'm gonna walk away from it because I'm not gonna be able to stop sipping it.
I gotta get my coffee.
You gotta get your coffee? All right. We're still on. Let me prep for a second. We're gonna come up here. This is Linda Ann. We're having opposite problems. All right, so Linda Ann, this is your number 20, and did you, no, yours is named Van Gogh chair. This is all done in velvet. So beautiful, so much texture, so soft, it glistens. Talk about Impressionist style, it glistens. Look at all the colors in the chair seat. How pretty is that? It almost reminds me of a quilt, the amount of color that's in there. And look at this little vignette here, right? The picture above, the little framed thing. And then the ground in this case, which is really unusual. I think you're the only one. No, you're not, because I see another green bottom. I was gonna say, I think you're the only one to put green in the bottom, but it's super smart because it goes really well with this kind of ginger colored chair, the super colorful chair seat, all of the fusion of blues in the background. Seeing the green at the bottom interrupted with this yellow color, right? This kind of straw color, really smart, very pretty. I always have to look at the back of velvet. Look at how beautiful it looks. Look at how beautiful it hooks. Isn't it gorgeous? It has such a sheen to it. It has such a shine. You either love hooking with velvet or you hate it, because it does kick up a lot of lint. It always does. I just love the way that it shines. Linda Ann, that is such a pretty piece. Well done. And then we're coming down, I think we're coming down to this piece here, Becky, Van Gogh Cross. So this has some tricky parts I want to show you. Beautiful, soft piece, it's clipped because it's yarn, and it is on, get ready, it's on latch hook backing. You see how nice it is to hook on latch hook backing, right? Because you can use any material, and you can see she has used some very fancy color changing material, some real softies in here, right? And some mixed blues, and then there's a cross here, right? Isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? It holds so well, both close up and from a distance. It's just a beautiful, neat piece. It's like so wild, right? With so much color against the flat white wall. Such contrast when you do something that has a cut pile like this. This is just a gorgeous piece. I love the combination of the real softies in there with the real cottony ones like this. There's a real contrast. And also in the ground, the yellows are like a little bit flatter, and then the greens have this real mohair, high twist quality to them. Really, really beautiful. Coming over here to number 22, Nancy, Van Gogh's chair and paint box. So on the chair, we've got a few motifs going on here that we recognize. We see his paintbrushes here, right? So it's like he's put on his chair paint box, paintbrushes, sunflowers. One sunflower has fallen on the floor. These so look like Van Gogh sunflowers. It's great to incorporate two of his motifs. He did his studio chair often, his interiors on bad days, bad weather days. And of course he did sunflowers often. We definitely associate him with starry nights and sunflowers. So it's so cool to be able to incorporate those. This is a beautiful piece that's got a lot of different textures. All of the diagonals in the floor, all the tiles are hooked in a different way. Can you tell this is hooked this way, this one, this way, this one, this way, this one, right? So it kind of alternates. It creates a very sort of architectural feel, very sculptured feel, really beautiful. And the centers, right, are like, what am I trying to say? They look like they have some little bits of embroidery to create centers. That's probably needle drawn, like a little bit of candle wicking, and then the beautiful multi-centers. And the chair itself has a lot of multis happening. I love the introduction of the bright blue and purple for the poison there. Oh, wait a minute, there's a little piece of fluff here. Let me get the fluff off. There I go. Really pretty, and this beautiful quote, "As long as autumn lasts, I shall not have hands, canvas, and colors enough to paint the beautiful things I see." Isn't that gorgeous? What a beautiful quote to have right on the front of the piece, right? So as if people weren't inspired enough, they are further inspired, thinking about Van Gogh and connecting more to his life, to his words, right? He had so many great quotes. This piece number 24, Tara, Van Gogh's chair in Klimt's garden under a starry night. And this is many motifs, right? So we've got Klimt's garden here, Gustav Klimt. Absolutely gorgeous. You see all this gold glittering and all these like sort of pixelated flowers, very Klimt. And then we've got Van Gogh's chair, very distinctive, with a stitched seat, so an embroidered seat. This wild starry night, right? The starry night is really the biggest part of the composition. And then we've got these shapes that really are truly found in the Starry Night paintings, because there's many Starry Night paintings with a crescent inside of one, and that really is how it is on the Starry Night that I think most of us think of when we think of the Starry Night. And the beautiful whip stitching on this piece too, you see how it goes dark and then it meets with the green? Really beautiful piece, lots of color change, lots of different cuts, lots of yarn, lots of wool strips. I'm looking at this pretty piece right here. Look at how small this cut is here. Isn't that pretty? Oh, that's excellent. That is excellent. And we had a few pieces in the show that were some of Pierre's friends that he knows from the art scene here. When we started, remember, it wasn't that long ago. I put the shout out maybe a couple months ago, not for the Van Gogh chairs, but for the story rugs. And we just weren't sure how many people were going to exhibit. And he had some of his friends put stuff in too that I don't know those friends. They do now. But it's beautiful work. So let me show you all the work that's here, because it includes some people who we are just meeting as buddies for the first time. This piece here, number 23, is Linda, it looks like Schiwall, Schiwall. And this piece is called The Exchange, right? It's a lot of wool felting. Lot of three-dimensional sort of relief effect. Really exciting, very artsy piece. You can see, I won't touch her piece. The dots from the needle, right? Needle felting is a stabby craft where you're just stabbing at it with your very sharp little needle or multiple needles. And that is how it adheres to itself or another piece of wool or a backing fabric. So this piece is called The Exchange. And here's a familiar buddy right here. This is Robin's piece, number 26, Dandelion Wine. So this is the first of our story rugs that we're encountering here. Again, go onto the Ribbon Candy Hooking site, right? And it brings you right to the page with this exhibit, because you can look at the stories behind these rugs. Beautiful figure here, right? Nice summery feel to the top, beautiful summery sky. Look at all the proddy work that's in the grass, right? It's dandelions and dandelion leaves and collecting the dandelions, right? Absolutely beautiful piece, very irregular shape. Robin, this is wired, right? This is wired. This is very cool because it's very, you see how I can do that? It's very rigid. This is a really cool technique. I'd love to know how you did this. And wrapped with this color changing blue. You see how it goes from quite light and sort of indigo to almost a black. Really beautiful, but collecting the dandelions, dandelion wine. So I guess that's what they're doing, not making salad, but making wine. How beautiful. I don't think I've read the story on this one yet. And I love the roving in the sky. This is just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece, super evocative, right? Very summertime, very appealing on a cold day like today. I love the height, right? I love the height and the proddy feel to the dandelions in the field, because it makes sure I want to search for dandelions, doesn't it? It makes you want to help out and go, there's one right here, there's one right here. So, so sweet. Beautiful piece. Carol, you sent a stunner right here. This is Love. So this is a really large piece. I'm going to stand in front of it just to scale it. This is the big piece. I think this is the biggest piece of the show. Absolutely beautiful. Everybody loved this piece. Well, no pun intended. To love and to love, to be loved, to be loved. Everybody loved this piece, and there was constantly people standing in front of it. So it got a lot of attention, just like your I Am Willing. It was a great message piece. You have the bee motif down here again, right? The honeycomb and then the single bee. There's some symbolism in here. It's just a beautifully hooked piece. I think this is what people being able to stand in front of here and see the scale of it and see this very wide cut, see the combination of both wool strips and so many different yarns, right? So much bling. People were going, oh my gosh, I really want to start this craft. I think this is the piece that did it, because this is a great sampler piece too. And people go, oh, how did she do this part? And how did she do this part? And how did she do this part? So lots of conversations kicked up, lots of wool, right, that is not solid, lots of patterned wool. Right, really exciting, and it opened up the floor for conversations like, well, you know, you can cut up used clothing that has prints and patterns on it. You can use that too. You can dye your own stuff, right? Because there's these beautiful, soft, sort of clay colors in the background, like little terracotta and butter, wedgwood, very nice neutrals, and then these beautiful, warm, earthy colors. I love this piece right here too. I just love this piece. Really beautiful composition, super, super smart. The patterning on the body as well. Really, really appealing. Really beautiful. Well done. Really well done. Showstopper. Now, if we come over here, do you want to grab your coffee?
I'm good.
Okay. If we come over here, this is a piece, this is one of Pierre's friends. I think this is the person who taught Pierre how to needle felt, and that was quite recently. Art Oxnard, and this piece is called Mr. Tumnus. Remember this character from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? And this is super three-dimensional. Right, the lamppost, right, as soon as they open the cupboard and walk out, there he is with his goat's legs standing in the light of the lamppost, all a nervous wreck, right? Absolutely beautiful. It's just incredibly high relief. I love the colors. Do you see the actual locks that are used for the hair? Right, the expression on the face, the crescent moon, right? It really is astonishing. And the border of it and everything else is also needle felted. And the umbrella is wired a little bit there, right, to get it very exact. You see the curls that are present like on the bottom of his body and even on his hands, right, because he is kind of a hybrid creature. Absolutely beautiful. And in keeping with this theme, this is my friend Naomi's piece from Lionsgate Primitives. And this piece, because she's right near us in Naugatuck, right, Naugatuck. This piece is called Lucy Steps into the Wardrobe. And I asked her for some pieces of hers because I just love her work. This is one of her project pieces, right? She usually does primitives, right? So this is another primitive. Lots of directional hooking. You see she's done some application of different materials. She's got the hair in a little bow. You see the mane is done with yarn, almost a Proddy effect. And then she's got a sewing effect over here. Once there were 4 children whose names were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy, C.S. Lewis. Right, and this is her sparkle wool, right? This is from Dora, the sparkle wool. Can you see there's a sparkle to it, like snow? Because remember, she walks out into the snow. This is sparkle too, right? This is a beautiful piece. We have 2 of Naomi's pieces in the show. And if you pan back, you can see it's an irregular piece. So it's shaped like the wardrobe itself. And then this is like the door, right, that has been flung open. And here's the world inside. Isn't that a cool idea? Very irregular shape. Lots of storytelling going on, just a really, really pretty piece. Another really pretty piece right here, it is misnumbered. Yeah, there's 2 28s, look at that. Shame on me. This is obviously 29, Dawn Collins. It's right on the website, I just put it wrong on the sticker. Dawn Collins, this is called A Good Day. And Dawn is one of my good buddies, one of my close buddies. Beautiful color, classic Dawn. Classic, cheerful, right? All of these happy motifs going on. Look at the amount of color. This is like a sampler piece. You should know Dawn, right? She's on Facebook. She's always posting beautiful artwork that will soon be in the Ribbon Candy Hooking store. Super positive, really cheerful, great summer vibes, great hippie vibes, great happy, feel-good work. And A Good Day is one of those pieces for sure. I love the checkered border too. You've got to love a checkered border. I just love this piece. A little bit of color changing yarn down here, and her signature sons, right, with these facial expressions that are just so fun. Just really, really, really cheerful piece. Love all the color changes. Very happy piece. The tulips down here, so pretty. So pretty. Dawn is working on a secret project for the second book right now, and she said she had such a head down and work day yesterday that it was crazy. I'm dying to see what's going on there, but I'd love to be surprised too. I can't wait. Up here, I think, is our next one. This is Michelle Micarelli. This is Jack of Clubs, one of her classic pieces, right? So take a good scan of this. She's got some metallics up here in the club. And then as you come down, lots of color changing. Even the background is color changing, if you can tell. It's very subtle. Can you see over here, she's hooked in some clubs? It's directional hooking, so it's very subtle, but there's like 3 clubs up there. And she's got some very subtle color changes in the background. Look at the amount of color change in the face, right? You have to really be a master to do that. That is beyond my level of expertise, that's for sure. But she's applied this. This is like an applied mustachio here. And then the hair is really, it has some blonde and copper to it, but it's a lot of novelty fiber. She's really known for her novelty fibers, isn't she? The ruching, right, is beautiful lace. And look at all of this detail coming down here, right? And then we've got the gloved hand holding the jack, right? What a dandy. And then the amount of color that's in his body, right? In the sort of Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of what the name of that is. With a costume degree, I've forgotten what the epaulets, I think, in fur, right, or fox, or whatever it is. I think it's fox. Lots of excitement, lots of different techniques. You probably recognize the ladder fiber, right? This is that ladder novelty fiber. I'm not even sure what these are. I think these are wool, almost like quilly. And I think, yeah, she cut them crossways. Those are like functioning as buttons, really lovely. And over here, you can see she clipped this part. Right, so all of these great techniques. Michelle is teaching a lot of stuff that's coming up soon, and I know a lot of you love her. So I always advertise it on her page. I accidentally advertised something that happened over the weekend. I didn't realize it was past. But next time she has a show, I'll make sure I advertise it, and I think she is doing the same. But yeah, beautiful color changes here. Just an extraordinary piece. Everybody's pieces in the show got a lot of attention, I can promise you, including this beauty, Kirsten. Home is my creatures. And this is one of my favorite pieces of yours too. This is in the first book, the book that's coming out in July. Beautiful storytelling piece, right? Beautiful directional hooking. You are really a master of mixing yarn and wool, right? You do such a good, you blend and balance them in such a way that it is always absolutely right on under the sort of rooftop frame, right? Look at the different materials in here. This looks like a knit, the lighter purple. This looks more like a satin or a ribbon. Sun shining here with some yarn in it. You are very impressionist style hooker because you are putting lots of little bits in to one color, and that's how you do impressionism, right? You are really instinctive in the way that you do that. Nice dark background, right? A little bit of nature coming in, and the whole family right here. And the cats, including, this isn't Bebop, right? This one must be Bebop here. Which one is this, Kirsten? So sweet. I just love it. I love the different wools. I love the way that the glasses are handled in different colors, right? Have you ever seen glasses done like this before? Really smart, really smart. And I like how you didn't overdo the features of the face, right? You can see the mouths, you can see the face, you can see the features. It reads perfectly. For me, in liking the kind of art that I like, this is the exact right amount of detail. This is a perfect fusion for me, and this is really thick yarn, the dark yarn in the background. Get a good close-up of in here, because this is so pretty. All those yarns coming in, lots of ideas. Lots of ideas. Ryan says he loves the Narnia piece. Takes you back to childhood. Absolutely, right? Kirsten, I didn't even realize that you had, the next one was yours too. Wilma's Seaside Adventure. So there is Wilma, that's a chicken, right? Mm-hmm. Not a rooster. That's a rooster, okay. Yeah. I love how the sky and the water is this nice thick cut, very, very even. Everything else is wild and woolly. Wilma's beak is wool too, but it's a little bit color changing. Look at the nice texture to her body. Look at the lush outdoors. She is having an adventure, isn't she?
Bebop was the orange cat.
Oh, Bebop was the orange one. Who's the blue one, Kirsten? The whiskers on them, so cute. Another beautiful piece. Look at all this color changing stuff. This is a small piece. This got a lot of attention. People love like farm animals, right? So yeah, this is one that got a lot of attention. I love the material around the eye too. Beautiful composition. And Kirsten's designs are available, some of them, Wilma's Seaside Vacation, are available on Ribbon Candy Hooking.
Junebug.
So take Junebug, oh my God, and Bebop. Oh my God, so cute. Oh, all right, so we'll keep it going. I have no idea what time it is.
We're at 48 minutes.
Holy mackerel, we're in trouble. We're in really big trouble. Okay, so Shannon, this is your piece, Thanksgiving in Japan. There's a great story behind this, so make sure that you do check out the website. All the different materials. I've been spending way too much time, haven't I? Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Shannon. There are so many cool materials in here. Yarns, do you see this sort of knit? All these mixies. And I remember the idea behind this one was your family was in Japan and it was Thanksgiving and you dressed up in traditional Japanese costume and celebrated Thanksgiving, right? Absolutely beautiful. And I love the red border on this. I am sorry for the way I'm going to speed it up here. We are going to run over without a doubt. So Shannon Carter, absolutely stunning. Now this is one of Karen Garby's pieces. This is going to be featured in the second book too. This is from the class that we did that was on designing like the fairy tale storybook. And of course this is Princess and the Pea. This is a beloved in the show because this is another one that takes you back to childhood. All this beautiful mix of different fibers. Look at the border too that she did, how pretty that is. right? Bringing in all those colors, all those mattresses. What a great opportunity for bringing in a lot of different colors and fibers. And oh my God, beautiful piece. This is my piece, so I won't stay too long on this one because you can talk to me about that anytime. That's Mauda Maiden, and this is based on the this actually belongs to my mom. So Mom, as soon as the show is over, I gave this to you for your birthday last year. You will finally get it and be able to hang it. There's some sari ribbon up here, but we won't spend too long on this because this is my piece. And this is Arjen Lissenberg, right? So this is a total mashup on monk's cloth, right? This is our cat, this is my daughter Jocelyn, this is the armchair that she sat in and has been abusing for several years now. The cat has finished it off and it is truly dead, but it is in this form looking like a normal piece of furniture. Beautiful view of the outdoors in the back garden where the kids play. The cat Pitter Pat has got her paw up on the window. Really, this was, I think, his second piece. He did a smashing job with this. The mixture of colors too, right? The light blues, the maroons, the reddish maroon, the wine color, the very bright spring greens, first greens of summer, really beautiful. The outlining in most places is very, very effective. I advised not to outline in the background because I thought it would become too cartoony. And I think it gives you more of a panoramic view of our backyard. Really beautiful. Beautiful piece. That's called Joss. Here is Pet Lion. I think we looked at this a little bit. This is another one of Tara's pieces. Her brother growing up, instead of having a sort of normal imaginary friend, he had an imaginary pet lion who's done in all of these beautiful shiny colors. I love the swirls to the sky too, right? Because it's the same kind of tone as the blue background, but they really stand out because it is a different color. It goes more toward that antique mauve. Great directional hooking behind the lion, and the brother is carrying, to, I think, pop the age and show the age, a little three-dimensional teddy bear. Absolutely gorgeous. Another famous piece of Michelle Miccarelli's, Celtic Eagle. So another one of her beauties. Make sure you check out her website too, because there are some extraordinary, all of her work is extraordinary, but this is one that I don't think we see as often. It was great to see it in person. A lot of people liked it. Very even and busy directional hooking in the background. Very masterful, and then the sort of straight lines on the border. She is a master, right? So it's just what you would expect. All of the bright color changes, being the renegade that she is in the field of rug hooking. She has always been pushing the envelope. It is just a stellar piece. Ryan, your two pieces here, Did I See That? And Funhouse, right? These were two great favorites. There were some kids here too, and the kids were loving these pieces. It really, the whimsy in them really spoke to everybody. And you know how I feel about these two pieces, the sort of outer space. Your color in both pieces is amazing. The amount of desert color here, right? What I think of as like a Santa Fe palette, very, very, very strong with a little bit of like the grassy green and black. Very exciting color palette. True black, true white, and a lot of desert colors, right? That is really unusual. I can't think of another work that I've seen that uses this color palette. I think this is an extraordinary piece and I love it. I love this piece as well, Funhouse, If You Dare, right? Go right into the mouth of the devil, into the funhouse, and that mysterious swirl. Beautiful examples of, these are both completely punched, right, Ryan? Color change in the pig and the nice, healthy, bright pink in the cheeks. The shape of the eyes, that kind of triangular shape of the eyes that works really well with the triangular nose, the triangular ears. Really, really, really smart piece. Beautiful color palette on this piece as well. Up here is another one of Michelle Miccarelli's. This is an abstract called Coral. Absolutely beautiful. Lots of detail there too. And I will remind you to check Michelle Miccarelli's website. 1L in Michelle, Miccerelli. I slaughtered that, huh? And I wasn't looking at the sheet. But you got to check out her website and look at all of her work. It's extraordinary. Robin's work. This one is called Sail Away, and this is a beautiful large piece, Ryan. Robin, this is a great favorite of the show too. This is another one. These storytelling pieces really brought people back to childhood, I think. All of the action. And Ryan says yes, both punched. All of the action in the sea, right? All of the movement of the boat. It's almost like a Viking type boat, but it's like a rubber ducky at the same time, right? We looked at this on coffee time and we loved it so much. It's so whimsical. The kind of tatty sort of handmade flags, right? A little bit of sparkle, the paper hat, and remember the embedded gulls in the sky. It has almost a stained glass quality to it, this piece. Really, really lovely. Absolutely love it. Robin, people loved this piece. These are two pieces by Amy Labossiere. She did the teddy bear chair up front. So we'll spend a little time here, but I don't want to spend too much time because I want to focus on people in our group the most. The top one was called Pool Party 2, and the second one is called, hang on.
45.
What?
Number 45.
Number 45, thank you. A Beautiful Unraveling. What a great name. So this one is needle felting with a little bit of acrylic on canvas, it looks like. Again, some needle felting on canvas. So beautiful fusion technique, right? Mixing of mediums. Really smart. And I am going to speed up. I'm sorry. Let's not even go into it because we're going to do a video with the older rugs. This is one of Pierre's pieces, Love Matter. Beautiful piece, got a lot of attention as you can imagine. It's in a mosaic frame. He's known for his needle felting, his rug hooking, his mosaic art, his painting. He works in a lot of mediums very successfully. So this is another great fusion piece, fusing these two mediums together. Really, really stunning. Beautiful large piece. This is Deborah Wallen's piece. We tipped it. It normally goes on its other side, but we put it like this because Pierre really wanted it with this piece. This is called Jakara and the Seven Sisters. Again, read about the story behind these pieces on the Ribbon Candy Hooking site under the exhibit, The Romance of Fiber Arts, right? This is Deborah is a really, really talented teacher, hooker, gallery shower. I mean, you can see her technique is just absolutely amazing in the background as well. She's a great buddy of mine. She's in Rhode Island now. Her group is called Hooked Line and Sinker. And we are planning a retreat together for 2024. So stay tuned for that. That'll be, we think we nailed it down to Mystic, Connecticut. So that'll be coming up, and you'll be able to see both of us and learn with both of us, get lots of hugs from both of us, because she's an amazing person too, and an amazing artist. Julia, this is your wall. So this is the Chesapeake series on your wall. Chesapeake Fantasy Sampler on top. And again, please go online to read about all of these rugs, right? They all have big stories. We've been covering Juliet's work on Coffee Time and Gallery Night because it is extraordinary. These three pieces, and she did provide some great text, so you'll be able to see that online. These pieces are on her boat, right, on the family boat. So lots of mixed texture. This one is the Chesapeake Fantasy Sampler. This one is Chesapeake Fantasy Rug, and this one is the Odyssey Rug. And as you can see, these operate as a trio, and they go together. And she's using, you see pictures of her, I hope, on her floor frame, mixing all her fibers and her yarns. Juliet is very free and forthcoming with information about how she works, her technique, her materials. She's very, very generous in showing how she does it. How she does it, maybe, because it's not easy to get this kind of natural fusion. She's got some beautiful ribbon up here too, beautiful novelty ribbons. I see some velvet in there too. Beautiful thick yarns, thin yarns, high luster, highly spun, a lot of twist, no twist, right? There's so much variation here. There's shine, there's cottony softness. It's just a real fusion of a lot of different techniques. This is the second piece of Deborah Wallen's I have in the show. This is called Chuck's Diner. And this is a beautiful story rug, an interior scene at a diner. You can see three people dining and a little dog begging. Nice old-fashioned diner. Cake under the bell jar and the Chuck's right in reverse on this. Look at how she did the reflection on the glass. Directional hooking this way, directional hooking this way, directional hooking this way. She's absolutely a master. It is, oh God, it's a crazy piece. It's just a crazy piece. And again, this will have a story that goes with it. Many of Deborah's pieces have been seen in Celebration, so be sure to look for it on the Ribbon Candy Hooking site under this exhibit, because you'll want to look at this in closer detail and read more about the story behind it. And this is Marilyn's piece right underneath, Vintage Stove. This is another one. I asked Marilyn for the two pieces that are hanging in the show because they both were great story pieces. Vintage Stove really caught my imagination because it was that moment of nostalgia from a bygone time with the cast iron skillets, the old-fashioned stove, the cat sleeping on the rug, right? Sort of a rag rug under the stove. This is, I think, all hooked in yarn. Yep, hooked in yarn. Vintage Stove, absolutely beautiful piece. Lots of color changes there, right? Lots of spontaneity, lots of control, but lots of moments of spontaneity. It's got great balance, this piece. Vintage Stove, Marilyn Baraja, beautiful piece. Another of Karen Garvey's pieces here, March Goes Out Like a Lion, and this is her Proddy piece we looked at for quite a while with other techniques like Waldeboro with the bee. And check out all the Proddy leaves, but the nice metallic of the horn. And the latch, she latch hooks with the rear rug, this is 100% wool, she latch hooks into linen. And of course the curls, right, the sheep's curls that are dyed. She's got a lot of techniques going on here. This was another piece that functioned kind of as a sampler. It's got so many beautiful parts to it. The transparent bee wings, beautiful. The one below is another one of Marilyn's, Marilyn Baraja, the bear with blueberries. Beautiful big piece. Look at how she strung it on this beautiful birch branch. I mean, that is so gorgeous. Another gorgeous hooked piece. Look at the expression on the bear, right? So the eyes are like doll's eyes with this thick, loose yarn around it. And then this highly hooked, right? High hooking, different browns, different brown yarns of the bear. And then look at this amazing contrast of the kind of purple lupine, the bright, bright, bright blueberries, which really are the story. Here he is feasting, right, in this patch of blueberries. And look at all the different colors of flowers we've got there. And the kind of purple distance, right? You sometimes looks purple in the distance, the distant mountains. It's just a gorgeous piece. This piece got a lot of attention as well. I think the expression of the bear kind of being confronted by a bear, like who's scared right now, right? Because he looks a little bit put off too. It's a funny comic quality to it. Really beautiful. This next piece you've seen before, we know it and we love it, The Old Violinist and His Dog by Pierre Sylvain. Another beautiful piece. I think Pierre works, on monk's cloth. Absolutely beautiful, broken up, very modern art style, shades of Mondrian, right? This beautiful storytelling quality of the old man. The dog is holding the hat to collect the tips. It's just a really beautiful piece. Another beauty of Karen's that came out of the storytelling class, the storybook class, of course it's Hansel and Gretel. This is Russian punch or miniature punch. So we have this conversation a lot. If you're a beginner, this is that very small scale punch, right? So this is still punch needle, but it's a different tool and you need to use different yarn, right, to make this work because it is tiny, tiny, tiny. And she's got a nice piece of rickrack on the side to frame it out. Really beautiful, really beautiful. And another piece by Ariane Lissenberg. This is a beautiful outdoor scene behind my mom's house. There's a creek under there where the kids swing off a rope and into the water. And this is a photo that he took of that area down by the creek in Granby, Connecticut. And just beautiful color changes. This was very hard. I really was surprised that he chose this subject because this is a very difficult subject for your third rug, but he did a beautiful job with it. Very true to the photograph, but popped the colors, brought forward those bright, bright, bright yellows, the amount of color change that's happening on this little strip where there's like a few shells and all different kinds of rocks. Jocelyn keeps taking rocks from this area and breaking them, hoping they're geodes. I don't understand what makes a geode. You know what I mean? Like, why does some rocks have nothing and others are a geode? I don't know the answer. I have to Google it. But she keeps, there's going to be no more color in this area because she's like emptying it of rocks. This piece here is another one of Naomi's. This is another one of her. This is called Welcome to the Shire. And this is based on The Hobbit, right? The Hobbit series. So this is like that Hobbit door. Look at all these applied little dots that she's got on there. And this nice button from a jacket, right? That looks like a man's jacket cuff. Her sparkle wool that she over dyes. Look at the amount of directional hooking in this piece. And it says, in a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. And this piece again is called Welcome to the Shire. Isn't that gorgeous? So she had a Narnia piece and she had a Hobbit piece. She loves her sci-fi. She's a great buddy of mine. She lives locally. When we do a retreat next year with Deborah Wallen, she's certainly one of the people I want to invite, and I'm hoping that she comes. We were already talking about it. We're not going to spend a lot of time on most of this wall because it's my stuff, so you can look at it anytime you want. But these are some pieces that are in the first book. This is Magdalena's Lollipop Tree. This is Deco Gallery, which has always been available on Ribbon Candy Hooking as a yarn kit. It's a crazy amount of yarn that it comes with, a lot of fun to hook it, right? Because it's kind of like it's not a color plan, you figure it out as you go. And this is my favorite piece of all time that I've ever done, also in the book that's coming out in July, Mom's Flowers, Dad's Weeds, Proddy piece in the center. This one, and all of the ones from the first book, View from Digby, these are available as exclusive patterns in that book. So these won't be patterns that you're finding on Ribbon Candy Hooking. These are exclusive for the first book. So this is View from Digby, inspired by Maud Lewis. This one down here is 1985 Cat. This is a pattern that you can get on Ribbon Candy Hooking. This is a number 5 cut, very simple wools done in sort of 1985 color palette. This is a Proddy piece I did for the Green Mountain project in Vermont. Very high relief, right? And this is what Proddy looks like on the back, if you're wondering. Huge, big pieces. This is on burlap, but a very abstract vase with some flowers, and then you see some really thick pieces of wool in the centers, right? So I forget what I called that pattern. This is one of the Schmetz Pets patterns, Cat with Wine. And this is designated for my friend Kim, who loves this and is having this as a gift from me because I love her and love this piece. This is another one. I'm going to come back to that one. This is another one that is in that second book. This is Valentine Bouquet. This is hooked with paisley and hand-cut pieces on latch hook backing because I love to do my hooking on latch hook backing. I really do. Nice and easy, no frame, really thick, really plush, works really well. This piece over here, do you remember Nibbles? Originally we called it grapefruit leaves, I think. And in the end, Deborah wanted to call it Nibbles, and I think that's great. So this is one of the story rugs we talked about a couple times on cocktail night, and here it is in person. People really enjoyed it. Love the graphic quality of the leaves, of the patterning of the leaves, of the rabbit's face, and just the great story that's there. So this is Nibbles, and this is the piece that my buddy Linda Ann sent that I bawled when I opened, because this is the house that I grew up in at 5 Windsor Drive in Barrington, Rhode Island. And this, you officially called this piece, Home is Where the Heart Is. Somebody asked to buy this piece, Linda Ann, and I said, absolutely not. Sorry. I can forward them your information, but yeah, this is mine forever. I absolutely love this piece. This was a great gift, a great surprise, and my favorite thing ever. That's it. And one more piece over here. So this is Pierre's piece that is called, this is Love. I love this piece. I love this piece. His wife here, they're in the bathroom, obviously getting ready for the day, doing the things that happen, right? Brushing teeth, using the restroom, all of this good stuff. I just love the natural quality to this, the humorous storytelling, very relatable quality to this piece. And it's shaped like a house. The outline is shaped like a house. So this is one of Pierre Sylvain's. He's reading the paper. They're spending some time together. I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful piece. He's got it bolted down too, but take a view of the side of it, because you can see he works in a style that we call higgledy-piggledy. That is my absolute favorite style. I love the height of the loops. I love the cut of the loops. He does use a cutter to cut his stuff. Absolutely beautiful. The font is very recognizable as his. These kinds of motifs here that we saw at the beginning too in Soulmate, very recognizable as his. And I think that takes us to the end of the exhibit. So thank you so much. I'm sorry we ran over, but this is a very large exhibit. I didn't even cover the antique rugs in the back, but those are mine, so we can look at those anytime. I am dying after that iced coffee. I'm gonna bust. So it was great having you with me. I can't wait until we do this again. I'm already thinking about the next exhibit. This was a huge success and certainly the largest rug exhibit that we've seen in Connecticut for many decades. So I'm very proud. I'm very proud for everything that you did, everything that you sent in. This was a hugely admired, right, night. Everything was like beloved. People were very excited. And I think we brought a lot of new people into our craft. So thank you so much for tuning in live in Hartford, Connecticut at the Charter Oak Cultural Center. And I will see you next time at Ribbon Candy Hooking. It is gallery night on Friday night. Join me at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to celebrate each other's work. I will see you then. Have a great tomorrow, everybody.